Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
The cavalry has arrived one last time. Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast, your weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, rumors, and discussion. And this week, we are less than a month away from the third and final season of The Bad Batch, and we're going to be breaking down that sweet trailer that dropped this week. We're going to be talking about all the reveals from Ventress to all the other things that happened in that trailer, because I think that's the thing that people have been focusing on the most, and rightfully so. It was very exciting and very shocking to see. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything else in the trailer. We're going to talk about when you can see the episodes and kind of an interesting release schedule. Looking forward to getting into that. Plus some other Star Wars headlines, including Daisy Ridley out there continuing to promote her new Star Wars movie that has not filmed, is probably not filming for a while, and won't be released for a while yet. But we'll talk about that, and we'll have another classic edition of Ask the SWU. All this and so much more on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast this week. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. That can happen. My name is Dominic Jones, and with me, as always, he's the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be back. And yeah, I heard that that Lucasfilm, I'm glad they actually listened to our screaming for once and actually gave us the trailer after, I don't know how many months of where's the trailer? Where's the trailer? Here it is now. And yeah, lots of surprises, a lot of stuff that I don't think anyone had on their Bad Batch trailer bingo card. So it's gonna be very fun. A lot of throwbacks and stuff that I'm just like, I can't believe we haven't seen that character in over 10 years. It's crazy, man.
We should actually make bingo cards for the next time there's a trailer.
Okay.
Like, we really should.
Like back in the day, they would tell us like 24 hours in advance a trailer was coming. We could have made bingo cards. We could have guessed at it. We could have tried to figure it out. We could have turned it into a game. Now they just sort of drop, and we just sort of have to. We should make our Acolyte bingo cards now, so that we're ready. Like 6 months from now when that trailer finally comes out.
Like Bad Batch, it would have been like one person in the very back of the room. They're like, yes, I got it. I got Ventress. I'm the one person.
Yeah, what the hell?
Who? Yeah, really. That's free space is Wrecker punching a creature of some kind. But Ventress, that's the one, 1,000,000 to 1 odds, and hey, they came true. That other voice you're hearing back with us as always from the Raeside, it's Hannah Raeside.
G'day there. My incessant, slow, steep drop into insanity about not having a trailer is finally over, and I'm back to good health. Because, I was hyped. I was very excited. Massive anticipation for this trailer all last week. I was going nuts for it. Even with all that intensity and eagerness, I was still so surprised by almost every shot of the trailer. I was still so impressed. So I can't wait to get into it. I'm just so freaking excited. Whew.
Yeah, I was expecting them to just basically drop the trailer they did at Celebration Europe, but this is very different from that, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But speaking of good health, someone who is not in good health this week is our good friend and co-host Chris Seekell, who unfortunately cannot join us for this episode, but Chris will be back next week, and I'm sure we'll hear all sorts of Bad Batch thoughts from Chris then. All right. Before we dive into the trailer, a couple of things we want to remind you of. Of course, subscribe to the Star Wars Underworld on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. That way you'll never miss an episode. Punch the subscribe button, Chewy, as we say. If you're listening live, you can super chat with us. That's a way to guarantee your question will be included in Ask the SWU. It's also a way to financially support the show should you feel like doing that. Another way you can do that is to become a channel member for the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel. And if you're listening on a platform that allows you to review or rate your podcasts, please do that. We appreciate that, especially the 5-star ones. And between shows, keep the discussion going and participate in Ask the SWU by joining our Discord. And there's all sorts of fun stuff going on there. Movie nights, game nights, watching Young Jedi Adventures with Ben.
Forever.
Forever and ever.
I thought that show was like 6 episodes. Why is there like 4,700 episodes of that show?
There's 1,000 episodes. We only get through 3 per night. Every 4 weeks. Do the math.
There's 25 episodes in season 1. Every episode is actually 2 episodes. So really it's 50 episodes. There's more episodes of that show than just about any other Star Wars show. It's like the Clone Wars and then Young Jedi Adventures and then everything else. It's incredible.
All I'm gonna say is thank goodness the show is genuinely good. Like I was like sitting there like a kid in a candy store, like, oh my god, Jedi Vectors, they're here. Like we're getting to see these High Republic starships. Like I was going crazy over a kid's show, over kids things. So I guess it says something about me or the show. I don't know.
I don't know, one or the other. And of course, we also have the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network full of great shows, great shows like the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and the Tractor Beam. Of course, you can catch Tales from Beyond the Galaxy on their YouTube channel and their Twitch channel. You can catch the Raeside on the Raeside YouTube channel. And you can catch Ion Cannon on this channel Mondays at 8:30 and Tractor Beam Wednesdays on this channel at 8. Yes, 8. I think that's right. Also, Hannah, you made a pretty exciting announcement over on the Raeside. You want to share that with everybody here?
I did. Yeah, for sure. I have started up a brand new audio and video edition of a podcast called the Star Wars Radio Hour. Pun intended. If you sound, it sounds the same, but it's spelled RAEDO. This is a series that I'll be doing for the Raeside, where I interview various Star Wars creatives that are graphic designers, that are prop makers, cosplayers, comic book illustrators. I've already recorded actually a bunch of interviews, and they are even better than what I anticipated them to be. It has been super fun to start this project, and it is finally dropping tomorrow morning for me. It's about like less than 24 hours if you're listening to it right now live, but if you're listening to this right now after the fact, it's probably out.
Nice.
So I'm premiering it with 2 episodes, and then it's going to be weekly from there on in. So the Star Wars Radio Hour, you don't want to miss it.
Just like a Star Wars series on Disney Plus, you're starting with a 2-episode premiere
and then
weekly thereafter.
I am.
Yes, check out the Star Wars Radio Hour. Again, radio spelled RAEDO. DIO. I was just realized DO sounds like they've skipped the letter in there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
a problem.
It sounds like the droid. Yeah.
Your problem, yeah. Anyways, check that out. It will be great. All right, let's get into things and let's talk about the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer. Ben, start us off. What'd you think of this trailer?
Yeah, it was a trailer, and it was more than I could have ever expected, really, because I'm going into this, I'll have to be honest with you. I had a lot of mixed feelings coming out of season 2. I thought when it really was really good, it was great. Then it also kind of dragged in the middle for me. And I was like, okay, how do I feel about this show? Because like going into the show initially, I was just like, oh, the Bad Batch, like you're going to do a show about those guys? Like I was kind of skeptical, and it really won me over with season 1. And then going into season 2, I was just like, this is kind of mixed bag. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think one of my gripes with the show is that I think season 2 kind of felt like it lost some momentum. I think it was like, and that was, I will give a credit to it, is that was kind of the point of that season, was that the characters didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what they were supposed to be doing. You had that infighting. I think that was a plus to that season in regards to kind of giving us this lull in the fighting between these very, I think, momentous seasons. So now going into this season 3, I think the momentum is back. And I think this season intrigues me so much is because there's obviously a lot of action, but also there's no shot of, oh, this is the Bad Batch and they're back together. Like everyone's split up, everyone's in different parts of the galaxy and they're all trying to get back together. They're all fighting. And there's some interesting surprises in there that maybe some people that I didn't even notice the first time I watched it, that I'm like, okay, this is gearing up to be a great season and something I think is going to deliver a lot of surprises, because obviously, like, they have surprises. If they're showing Ventress in the trailer, what are they hiding? Like, what else is there that they aren't showing us? That's what intrigued me so much. So, like, I'm very, very, very excited. And yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be less than a month now that we get it. So
yeah,
crazy.
February 21st, 3-part premiere. Hannah, why aren't you doing a 3-part premiere tomorrow? No, I'm kidding.
I know. I'm going to rethink everything now.
Yeah. Drop. You got another episode. Just drop it.
Yeah.
No, Hannah, over to you. Your thoughts on the Bad Batch trailer.
Yeah, I mean, super similar to what Ben has said here. Just amazed by the intensity and amount of detail in this trailer. And Ben, I'm recalling now that last year when we did our watch throughs of Bad Batch and our weekly shows, almost every week we agreed. We had like the same take.
When it comes to the Bad Batch, we share a brain.
Yes, our brains like melded and we were like the same.
When it comes to Andor, oh no. Not even close.
So true. So true. But yeah, it all kind of a bit little up and down with the episodes, and gelled with this, didn't gel with that. But I don't know what it's for me. It's kind of, the longer it sits with me, the more I like it. So I've just recently, like literally as of 2 hours ago, finished a rewatch of season 2, and it really has, it's such an amazing setup for what you can feel is to be a really amazing season 3. There's so many plot lines and so many concepts that we know have to be kind of resolved or explored or kind of finalized in this season. So yeah, the jump from end of season 2, it's like, great season, that was cool, but then to now, I am just, can't think of a metaphor quick enough. I'm just dying for this season now. Because yeah, this trailer just has so much in it. You're totally right. If Raeside is already in the trailer, it makes it so fascinating to see how she's involved. I mean, we even got Cad Bane and Fennec showing up. We know they're coming back for, we don't even know what capacity, because any of these characters you could argue are good or bad at this point. We don't know who's teaming up with who's on what side. There's so many questions. So they showed us so much, but I feel it didn't ruin anything. It didn't take away what I think will be a very good final season.
Yeah. I'll say this. I was thoroughly disappointed by the trailer. It didn't include any of the best characters from season 2. We're talking Teo, the Ben Schwartz droid. We're talking Shep, the King of Pabu, and of course, Benny and the communist.
Oh, jeez. Leave Benny on the freaking mine hole.
My finger is hovering over the remove button.
He's too busy finding soup or whatever he wanted to do.
Benny and the communists. In all seriousness, I love the trailer, and I do love all those characters. And you guys can bugger off with your hate for season 2.
Although, what's the Pabu guy's name? What was his name? Shep. That's great.
Of course he knows that name. See, if that was a trivia question, you'd have beat me on that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what next year's trivia game needs to be. Just all Bad Batch season 2 secondary characters. No, in reality, I like you guys have said, this trailer was frenetic. It was exciting. It showed a lot without showing too much, and it did my favorite thing that trailers do, which is trailers sometimes do, which is it feels like it's ending. And then it just keeps going for a little bit longer. Like when Wrecker like punches the creature, I was like, oh, this feels like that's where the trailer is going to end. And that's kind of a weak ending. And then it just kept going. There was more. There were title cards, and there was all this buildup leading up to the Ventress reveal. So I really did feel like this was, one of the better trailers we've gotten. That's something the animated shows always nail, is the trailers. They always really, really get those right.
They really do.
Yeah. The live action stuff, they're so scared of showing anything. They're so scared of showing anything that the trailers frequently, not always, but frequently feel pretty bland. The animated stuff, they go all in on it. Ben, let's start at the end of the trailer, because that's really what I think everybody has been talking about and everybody wants to talk about.
The big hairless harpy in the room that's not so hairless anymore.
Yeah. The witch is back. Asajj Ventress, alive and well, seemingly, despite rumors of her demise in a certain book written a few years ago based on some unfinished Clone Wars episodes. Talk to me a bit, Ben, about your reaction to seeing Ventress back and what you are hoping for from this character in season 3.
Yeah, it's one of the few times I wish I was recording my reaction to a trailer, because I genuinely go, what? I was flabbergasted, because I mean, it genuinely was like the last thing on my mind. Like, I don't think anyone legitimately thought, oh, there's nobody on Twitter or Threads or whatever going like, yeah, I think Ventress is going to show up in this trailer. I just have a feeling. Like, no one was saying that going in, and to get her at the end of the season, like, and it's so simultaneously, yes, a little confusing, a little concerning when it comes to canon. We'll get into that, but ultimately so incredibly exciting, because Ventress is genuinely one of my favorite characters, one of the best characters in the Clone Wars, in my opinion, one that had easily, I think, the best character arc in that entire show. Someone who started out as just kind of a very one-dimensional lightsaber wielding villain and became this very nuanced character we got to learn so much about through her Night Sister backstory, becoming, closer and closer to becoming a Jedi, really, in how her demeanor was and who she was. So to have her back, and the fact that, yes, it's been 11 years since we have seen this character. It was what? I'm like, okay, when was the last time we actually saw her? The last episode we saw her in was The Wrong Jedi. Season 5 of the Clone Wars aired 2013. That's the last time we've seen this character on screen. Obviously, Dark Disciple happened. There's been short stories. There's been stuff, but nothing on screen for a decade, more than a decade. We have been without Ventress, and this is a character that so many people love. It's crazy that it's taken them so long to kind of come back to this character, even in like something that would just be set like during the Clone Wars or whatever else. But yeah, I'm all for it. I'm kind of echoing a lot of the sentiment online, which is just like, I don't even care if they break canon. I'm glad she's back.
We'll get to the canon part of this in a second, but Hannah, over to you. Your thoughts on Ventress being back?
Yeah, I think Ventress really, especially to that and later parts of Clone Wars, had so much of a story to tell. She came in such an interesting way to, just the points of her character of being Dooku's apprentice through the Clone Wars, like the biggest war, of this era of Star Wars, and then being cast aside, being a Night Sister anyway, and then she's this mercenary bounty hunter, and then having like a hand in like aiding Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, and there's just crazy parts of her story that I think make for a really interesting character and a really interesting person that she is. So I am stoked to see her journey. Like, it might not be in a massive way, I think, because we're also excited to see her. Maybe, like, we're all hoping she's in like 10 episodes of the season. Yeah. I am worried that she might only be in 1 or 2. Yeah, right. But I think it's just so exciting. It's just, again, like, who would have thought Ventress might be in this trailer? I think it's just such a great, interesting character to see in this show.
Yeah, something that's going to be fascinating in this season with the characters that aren't specifically members of the Bad Batch is how they're going to handle where those characters go. because like Ventress is a huge character to bring in. This is a character, as you guys have laid out, that has a massive legacy, a big backstory, one that we've followed for years on the Clone Wars. And you know, the show's called The Bad Batch. It's not the Asajj Ventress radio hour. It's just
I wish.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what's coming down the line. Maybe
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
next
it's the
spinoff.
new show. Yeah.
But it's The Bad Batch. So yeah, she's probably not going to be in 10 out of the 15 episodes or what have you. It's probably going to be for one or two of them. But where does Ventress go after this? Are we actually going to see the definitive end of Ventress's story? I think not, considering we already had a pretty definitive ending to her story, and they're choosing to continue it. So it's going to be fascinating to see where they leave that character, where they leave other characters, even ones that we know where they wind up, you know, decades down the line, but don't know their immediate futures, like Cad Bane or Fennec Shand, and just some of these other characters that might pop up throughout the season that we know. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out in that regard. But just the inclusion of Ventress is, I want to know what's going on here. Right. Like, she's got the yellow lightsaber. I don't think she's going to be working for Palpatine. That seems unlikely based on her past. Although you never know. Has she gone back to bounty hunting? We saw Cad Bane, we saw Fennec Shand in this trailer. Should we just lump Ventress in there as well, that she's another bounty hunter that the characters are going to encounter? Or is there something more going on? That's what I really want to know. And it's exciting because I can't even think of a good theory right now. Like, I can't think of like a fun, like, sort of like way that they could incorporate a fun way that they could incorporate the character into the story. So that tells me that they've come up with that, and I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with this, is that it is confusing, just narratively, like ignoring like Dark Disciple is still just like, okay, how is she going to fit into this? You know, like all this stuff. And ultimately, you know, yeah, I was rereading some excerpts from Dark Disciple earlier tonight, and yeah, it's a pretty definitive death. Now, I think Night Sister Magic has come a long way since the Clone Wars, and it seemingly is this.
Are you saying this could involve dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew? Is that where you're headed?
All right, Beaumont Kim. Anyway, dark science, cloning, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, the Force is a shorthand. I mean, it can be used kind of as a magic button for anything in Star Wars. You know, you start thinking about it too much. Like, why can Vader sense Obi-Wan here, but he can't sense some other places? Like, you just don't think too far into it. Like, it really does get confusing. But I think Night Sister Magic is this one thing, like we've seen on multiple occasions now. Characters brought back, not to life, but at least brought back from the dead in a certain way by Night Sister Magic. And, you know, I don't know what this means. My gut tells me, being that the shots in the trailer, that there's some careful editing there, that it's made to look like that Hunter and Wrecker are meeting her and maybe facing off against her, but they don't appear together in the same shot. Tells me that this could be some kind of tricky editing where maybe this is a flashback. Maybe this is we're going back to a time prior to her death, or maybe we're getting some scene from Dark Disciple. I don't like that idea, because I feel like that in of itself is a fake out. That in of itself is just like you're teasing the audience with, it's like Last Jedi and, you know, Rey saying, I need someone to show me my place in all this. And then it's said that trailer sets up this idea of, it shows you a scene where it's, you know, Kylo holding out his hand to Rey. It doesn't happen like that in the movie. The essence of it is there, but it's still, it's kind of teasing you with that. This would be a full-on tease of just like, oh, here's the thing, but Zyke, you know, it's not happening quite like that. I think that would not go over well. So I hope that, yes, I hope Ventress is in it somehow, shape, or form, because that would be weird. But I mean, they've been adamant that this won't be retconning Dark Disciple. So How do they do that? I don't know.
Yeah. So let's delve into that a little bit. Ventress, like Ben said, last appeared on screen in season 5 of the Clone Wars. At that point, she was kind of an underworld bounty hunter kind of character. This Clone Wars, of course, ends. Her story is left unfinished. We knew from some celebration panels that there were plans for more storylines with her involving Quinlan Vos. Lo and behold, a couple of years later, they announced the novel Dark Disciple is coming. It's written by Christy Golden. It's based on scripts written by Katie Lucas for the show for seasons 7 and 8. Which was pretty exciting. And at the end of the book, spoiler alert, seems like she dies. Fast forward to Monday, trailer comes out. There she is at the end. Everybody's wondering what's going on. And some folks were remembering that the premiere of The Bad Batch, the first season, supposedly retconned Kanan's Order 66 experience. And we're saying, oh, wow, Bad Batch is bookending its show. Retcons, which
whoops,
I kind of wanted that to be the case, but Brad Rao, speaking with StarWars.com, executive producer of the show and supervising director, he said this. He said to StarWars.com, "We love Asajj Ventress. She's a character that we've been wanting to tell more stories about." At Brad Rao, supervising director, one of the executive producers, tell StarWars.com, and he makes it clear that her return will honor prior tales, including the book Dark Disciple, where she apparently perished. "We don't want to spoil anything," says Brad, but we want fans to know that the new storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Star Wars Dark Disciple. So it's going to connect. It's going to continue Ventress's story, because if you just go from season 5 of Clone Wars to this, you can kind of piece it together that, she was a bounty hunter then, she's a bounty hunter now. Some time has passed, but roughly nothing has changed for her. Dark Disciple, huge life-altering changes, perhaps the most life-altering change possible, which is death. And here we are looking at season 3 with that in mind. What do we think about this sort of promise that Dark Disciple is being honored?
I totally have full trust in Brad Rao, and the fact that they came out and even said this was, right, I think, so smart of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that wasn't Star Wars saying, "Hey, should we comment? Should we tell the people that it's going to be fine?" It would have been Jennifer Corbett, the Brad Raos, the creators being like, "Let's just set this up." Because and they said it in a really good way, where it's like, they're like, it's gonna be fine. We can't spoil
cool.
it.
It's all good. Everybody chill.
Fine. Yeah. Which, so I really don't have any worry, because I think once we see it in how she's involved, the fact that they're saying we can't spoil it clearly shows, well, there's something to spoil of how this is connected and of how it works, how she's here, or what time or whatever have you. There's information that makes it make sense that they just can't reveal right now because that is in the episode or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really smart that they even said this, and I'm totally okay with that fact. I'm yep, they've got it sorted. I trust.
Yeah. As soon as that article went up on StarWars.com, I'm sure there were thousands and thousands of Star Wars clickbait content people who just screaming no because all of their rage bait Star Wars is undoing its canon again, damn it, articles and videos and podcasts all went out the window because Brad Rao had the foresight to cut this one off at the pass. It's going to be really interesting to see how much of Dark Disciple they address, right? Because that's always been the thing with Star Wars, and the idea of one big canon is not everybody watches everything. So when you pull in characters who've had experiences in a different medium, you can't necessarily assume that everybody who is watching The Bad Batch, say, has read Dark Disciple. And so you don't want to throw too much information at them, at people, and confuse people. but then you also don't want to do what the Book of Boba Fett did, which is allude to unfinished Clone Wars episodes that you might have heard about if you've watched Celebration panels in the climax of your season, so that it doesn't make sense without them. You don't want to do that either, where you just completely ignore it as well. So there's a middle ground to be found here.
It is amazing how they have to both explain to people that have watched Dark Disciple that, hey, this is what's going on, this is why she's back, but also not come on too strong to the people who didn't read Dark Disciple and have just watched the Clone Wars. I mean, like, oh yeah, I remember Ventress. Where's she been all this time? They can't like lean too much in there. It's like, oh yeah, she's back and she's alive. So this is going to be tricky. I'm very curious to see, if this is a straight resurrection. Is there cloning involved? We joke, but this is a show about clones, about cloning, about Mount Tantus and all the cloning shenanigans the Empire is doing. We cannot rule that out.
Yeah, I think that's a very real possibility. Because you hit on it there, Ben. Like Mount Tantus seems to be focused on cloning, something that we've speculated on, like going way, way, way back to the very first episode, is if some of this cloning might be leaning towards trying to clone someone who's Force sensitive, which seemingly was what Moff Gideon was trying to do on Mandalorian, and is ultimately what Palpatine does for Rise of Skywalker and his resurrection there. And there's always been a slight air of mystery around Omega, and some people have speculated that she could be Force sensitive in some way or another. That's one I've always kind of liked, and that part of the reason they need her on Mount Tantus is to, experiment with her that way. And, maybe this Ventress clone is, assuming it's a clone, could be like a first attempt at cloning someone who's Force sensitive. And then you could have a lot of fun with, well, what works and what doesn't work about that. I think that could be interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily the way they go, but I think there's a version of that could work. And then there's the Night Sister magic element as well that is looming out there.
Well, I was going to bring this up of just this conversation about Ventress, is that it is actually interesting when we start to think about the content that we've actually had a bit of Ventress about. When did this book come out? Brotherhood, I think that was last year or maybe 2022.
Yeah,
Ventress was in that book.
True.
Which is like
really,
and I only know that because I'm just finishing reading Brotherhood right now, and I was like, oh, Ventress, and then the trailer came out and Ventress was in it, and I was like, oh wait, what? And then so we had her in that book. We had, which I totally forgot, we had Ventress mentioned in Ahsoka. We got her name drop.
When?
Which is
what?
The scene where you go.
Oh yeah, you go. Anakin's like Ahsoka has the hologram of Anakin training her.
Yeah,
and he's like, you might fight Sith Lords like a Ventress or whatever. Like
General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, or General Count Dooku.
Yeah, that's right. It's like we should have thought more about that. Like it's like we should have bloody known that it was more than just like, oh, that's a cool name of someone.
But then at the moment you sound like a crazy person. Like, he mentioned Asajj Ventress. Does that mean she's gonna show up at your with your board?
That's true. We would have
all
sounded
over the
crazy.
wall string,
That's
like
just,
it would sound crazy.
But Kirsty in the chat, I mean, and then circling it back to even this, we could even go further than the Bad Batch conversation right now. And are we going to be on the Ventress train for a little while here? And are we going to get a Ventress in, Kirsty says, could we maybe get some Ventress in Tales explaining what happened to her after Clone Wars? We could get some time material. I definitely think that's a thing. The Tales of the Jedi are coming up, and Asajj was a Jedi. She was a Jedi at some point. So very interesting.
I believe her last words, or at least up until that point in Dark Disciple, were telling Voss, that's not the Jedi way, or it is the Jedi way, something like that. I have to review it again. And there was this thing, I think that was the whole thing of just like told to Dark Disciple, which I should say, Dark Disciple is like one of the few Star Wars novels that I've read twice. The other one being Lost Stars. But like both of them I think are really great novels, and Dark Disciple is this very up and down, very emotional story about Quinlan and Ventress having this relationship, and I think they dial up the intensity because it sometimes it feels like Clone Wars, sometimes it feels like rated R Clone Wars, but ultimately it's about Ventress saving Quinlan from the darkness and her being kind of on the light there and starting in a very dark place and ending in the light. And I'm curious, okay, what does that mean for her story going forward? Like she has a yellow lightsaber. Who else we've seen have a yellow lightsaber? Rey Skywalker. So what does that mean? What symbolism? I think the lightsaber colors usually mean something for the characters. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to do this. But Thomas in the chat saying just adapt Dark Disciple for Tales. I'm usually against doing these sorts of adaptations, but because Dark Disciple is itself an adaptation of Clone Wars, I'm like, just do that one. Just do that one.
We've only problem is I think Dark Disciple altogether, I think it was supposed to be like at least 8 episodes.
It was 8 episodes. There was a Star Wars.com
post.
Big arcs. Yeah, there was a Star Wars.com post ages ago that said said like what the episode titles actually would have been of the 8 episodes had they been made. Which was kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Just make it like a special 2-part thing on Disney Plus.
Well, might I point out the Ahsoka arc of Tales season 1 we got was pretty much, apart from one of the episodes, 2 of the episodes were kind of recreation, in my opinion, recreations of the Ahsoka book by E.K. Johnson.
Pretty much.
So I think we could get a similar maybe treatment if they were going to do a Ventress story. Maybe they could do a similar treatment of kind of sum up the notes of maybe the ending of the book of Dark Disciple or something about Asaja's character. I don't know. I think that's
I mean, if I could play Kathleen Kennedy here for a second and get exactly what I wanted, like I would be greenlighting the Dark Disciple animated Star Wars movie. Like that's what I would be doing because I think it's a broad enough story. But I think you could take the big moments from that. Maybe one of them being the last, and maybe when you do it in animation, her death isn't as definite. Which some people have pointed out that maybe her death isn't definite because the story ends with Obi-Wan and Quinlan going to Dathomir and putting her body in a pool of water and it accepts her, and there's Dathomir voices and stuff happening, and it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? Like maybe it's more than meets the eye.
Yeah, I really like the way you say Dathomir there, Ben. That's really nice.
Dathomir.
You say it like your mother tells them. Dathomir. Dathomir. Maybe I'm just Australian. I don't know. Dathomir, mate. Yeah, it's bloody coded Dathomir.
Hey, I'm just gonna pop down to Dathomir's for some Molson, eh? I'll have a grand old time.
Dathomir.
Dathomir. Why are you saying it like that? It's so good. It's so good.
Incredible.
Anyway.
Well, Asajj Ventress, very exciting, terrific reveal. Great way to kind of end the Bad Batch trailer. I don't know about the rest of you, but my plan is to reread Dark Disciple between now and the season 3 premiere, just to, re-immerse myself in that character's story, because I read Dark Disciple back in the day. I adored it back in the day. And I haven't read it since then. And I sort of remember the basic plot points, but when people started saying, oh, the ending hints at resurrection, I'm like, where, how? I forget that. Please tell me. And I'm going to give it a reread before we dive into season 3. But let's talk about what else stood out in the trailer.
Bad Batch.
Yeah.
The other people in this trailer.
Oh yeah.
Hannah, why don't we go to you? What's something else that really stood out to you in the Bad Batch trailer?
Well, actually, I mentioned it in my initial summary of the trailer. The additions of Cad Bane and Fennec Shand again in the show. Again, it's interesting because where we left off with those characters was interesting. Because they were only in season 1. And I haven't done a season 1 rewatch in a little while. Bane, we left on that planet, didn't we? We left on that cloudy planet with the lab. He was like stuck there.
The extra Camino planet.
Yeah, the like bonus Camino. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Fennec, we left on Ordmantel, I think.
I think so. Wasn't she in that episode too? Because it wasn't the two of them were having a showdown, because there were a couple of Fennec episodes. And at one point, the two of them were having a showdown. And I can't remember exactly how it ended.
Right. Because all we know is that they're around and they're trying to get Omega. Like, that's the interesting connector here. Bane, is it going to be the same setup of is Bane kind of being employed by Palps still? And then is Fennec, where's she at with her journey? Is she still after Omega? Who was she employed by? I'm getting so
let me mention something that might help you here. So I was watching the trailer last night, and I noticed I was frame by frame going through the scene where they get the space croc, and it comes up and grabs Hunter and pulls him into the water, and Wrecker jumps up and jumps on top of the space croc. Fennec is in that scene. She's on the pier behind them. So seemingly working with the badge.
Yeah,
because that's what I was kind of Fennec to, of like, why is she helping them? Like, I think she is. Yeah,
because Fennec was previously employed by not Tanwi, Nalisay. She was supposed to get Omega back for Nalisay, or at the very least keep her out of the hands of Cad Bane and whoever he was going to take her to. So she was sort of a quasi good guy. She didn't always seem that way, but she was working for people who at the very least weren't looking to actively harm Omega. Whereas Bane, he didn't really seem to care much one way or the other what happened to Omega. One thing I think would be really interesting would be to flip their roles and have Fennec be more of a bad guy and Bane be more of the good guy. Because, Bane says, "Oh, I'll take on any job for the right price." Dude always works for the Empire. Dude always works for Sidious or someone evil. I'd like to see the Bad Batch hire Cad Bane and have just mess with the audience and have him be the good guy for an episode. Have him be the one we're rooting for. And Fennec, who we've spent an entire season on the Book of Boba Fett going, yeah, this character's awesome, let's follow her. Have her be the one that's actually like hunting down the Bad Batch for nefarious purposes. Because remember, when we first met Fennec in Mando, she was not a cool dude. She was the bad guy. She was trying to get Toro Calican to turn in Din Djarin and Grogu. Like, she was more of an antagonist than that. And then she became kind of an anti-hero along with Boba Fett. So, we think with the bounty hunter characters, one thing that's always really interesting about them is that we know, is that we have an impression of them and who they are and who they work for, but they really are free agents. They'll do whatever the bidding of the person who pays them most is. And so it'd be kind of interesting just to flip our typical interpretations of them on their heads for an episode or two, in the show or another one.
No, I really like that.
Has Cad Bane met Asajj Ventress?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think
they feel like people that would know each other, though, right? They feel like they should know each other, but I don't think they ever did meet.
They've got gravelly voices, so they would get along.
Yeah, for sure. True. Because I wonder, like, again, with those three characters, those three additions, what, like you're saying, what if Cad Bane's kind of on the good trail to help people here? Or where does that put the other two? Where does that put Ventress and Fennec? Because Fennec wouldn't team up with Cad, I believe. And Ventress, I feel like, might team up with Fennec for the right reason. It's so hard.
That's what I
Who's
liked.
on
That's what I
what
liked
side?
about. I really loved about the box from Clone Wars, that episode.
Oh,
and just like
that's
that
so
whole
good.
arc
Yeah.
is the fact that you kind of got to hang with Cad Bane for a while and see that like he straight up like saves Obi-Wan one time, because it's like he seems to have a bit of a code of honor, even though he's set up as this no nonsense, like Jango's gone, he's the top bounty hunter, Boba's not around thing, so he's like the top dog and he has no compulsion with doing anything. But I like the idea of like he does doesn't have a heart, but he definitely is someone who if you pay him well or you impress him enough, he will think so. I think having him work with a Bad Batch would be really cool, really thing. But yeah, I think I don't know where this is all going. I think obviously, like, why, other than the fact that like they're clones and the Empire wants to control them, why is the Empire coming after the Batch? Because they have Omega, they have what they've been chasing them all. So I'm wondering what else happens, what else goes down to put a target on Hunter and Wrecker's back.
I mean, I feel like they have a target on their back just because they've been, creating problems for the Empire. And the Empire probably just sort of sees them as more pesky rebels to put down. And so I could see them, being hunted down for that reason. Or maybe there are other people that want to hunt down the Bad Batch. Or maybe, Cad Bane isn't going after the Bad Batch at all. Like you're saying, maybe they wind up working together. Junobi in the chat says, calling it, Sid calls the bounty hunters to get Crosshair and the kid back for the crew to make amends. That's kind of a
I was
sick
wondering.
idea, yeah.
I thought that was a noticeable absence in the trailer was Sid, which like I'm also like screw that lady. I don't I don't like her. Nobody likes her. But like I will like she has been a principal character in this show for the first 2 seasons. Her being absent would be something interesting, and to end on that very sour note, especially after what was going on in season 2 of just like, what's his name? I forget his name, so I always just call him by his Ghostbusters name, Zedmore. That alien dude in the racing episode is like, right. Sid, you got to watch your back with this lady, blah 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 blah. And then Sid kind of pushing it back on that, and then ultimately proving him right in the end of being like, yeah, she absolutely sold them out. Where does she go from there? Is she going to come in clutch for the Batch in a time when they need her? Maybe when they don't even ask for her help, to perhaps, because I think maybe she did seem to feel bad about it. So who knows?
Yeah, Sid did seem to show some remorse. Whether or not that manifests itself in any way.
Not enough remorse.
No, she
never
showed some remorse, but she did also turn them in. So
right.
That will be something that'll be fun to see, is if we wind up back at Sid's bar at any point in this season. Someone else we see in the trailer, whose presence is always noteworthy. The Emperor, Darth Sidious, Chief Palpatine, makes an appearance in the trailer, talking about how this project is of the utmost importance to the Empire. What the hell is he talking about? What is Sheev working on? What is he cooking up these days?
I mean, he's working on clone bodies, obviously.
I mean, that is.
I think he's because Moff Gideon. Hang on, am I remembering things right? Moff Gideon wasn't too keen, or like didn't really care about Hemlock stuff, but I think Palp really cares about Hemlock and his like idea to like figure out the scientific use and repurposing of clones and how to like just oh my gosh, all the words in the world have left my brain. Jeez,
I love that.
Hemlock's really focused on the nature of cloning and the scientific effects of that, and I think Palpatine is like, let's make note of this guy. I want to know more about that and what he's doing, and let's work with him.
I like the idea that Palpatine is ultimately a Sith. But think of where Palpatine's headspace is right now in the galaxy. He's one. He's won. He wiped out the Jedi. He got ultimate power. But the thing with the Sith is they're never satisfied. They always want more. And now that he's at the top of the pile, what's he going to do? He's going to start thinking, how do I hang on to this power forever? How do I keep this up for forever? How do I stop myself from dying? Because I am really old. I look really old, and I am really old. So how do I not die? And I like the idea that he's starting to think about this. I genuinely, my headcanon is that like Exegol and clones and all that stuff is not in the picture yet. But I think he's on the road to that. I think he's on the road to that. I think he sees what Hemlock's doing. He's like, okay, maybe things, and maybe this ties into, because the old thing with, I think, was Legends. I think even Force Unleashed 2 got into this. I'm just like, okay, you can't clone Jedi. You can't clone Force sensitive people. And maybe that's canon, maybe it's not. I like the idea of, well, we got to test this. Maybe we got a Ventress clone. We're going to test it now, or whatever else. And ultimately, it's Palpatine playing with this. And obviously, he's going to, I think it's of the utmost importance to the Empire, because it's the utmost importance to the Emperor. Like, that's what he says goes. So I think he is ultimately the most powerful and most selfish person in the entire galaxy. So there you go.
Yeah. Chris made a good point back when we were talking about the season 2 finale way back when, and we were sort of speculating about where all of this was going with the cloning stuff. And I was banging the drum for Exegol. I was thinking, this is all leading to that. This is all leading to somehow Palpatine returned. Like that's where we're going. And Chris made the point of, yes, probably in the long term, but that's where that's headed. But for the sake of the Bad Batch as a story, there needs to be something more immediate. There needs to be something that the Bad Batch themselves can stop, and that so that the series can end on a victory. And something that happened, midway through season 2 that hasn't really come up again is we had that sort of like super soldier clone character who did the like electric cyanide thing to kill himself before he could really, the Bad Batch could really figure out what's going on. And there seems to be another one of those guys somewhere through the trailer. Correct. And, I wonder if maybe this is a bit of politicking from Palpatine. Maybe it's not the most important thing that's happening out there. But he's emphasizing this project because we know in the big picture, in the long term, he's fascinated by cloning because he wants to live forever. That's what he wants to be, immortal. And so, in the series in season 3, when we see Palps, he'll allude to loftier goals, but it will be all manifested around this, super soldier clone project that kind of is, taking the Bad Batch idea of like, let's make like clones that are even better than Jango, but also like being the opposite of the Bad Batch. So the Bad Batch are all about their individuality. They all have their special talents. They all have their unique personalities. That clone that we saw, he looked like the most like basic, straightforward clone. He had like no personality, but he was, souped up in the way that, Hunter, if you took Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Crosshair and combined them into one, it was kind of him. So there's some interesting, there's just some sort of interesting sort of thematic ideas there of, again, the Empire stripping these clones of their individuality after we saw them gain that individuality over 7 seasons of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think I think Chris was on something, and so are you, in regards to like the show can't end with like last episode of being like, oh, it's like Hunter or whoever like explaining, oh, we have to stop this thing at Mount Tantus because the Emperor is going to clone himself and he's going to live forever. Like, that's too complicated, and it's beyond the boundaries of, I think, what the story needs to be. I think it needs to be something much more closer to home. I think I like the idea of genetically altered clones and just the whole idea of cloning. And, maybe that's one of the reasons why they want the Bad Batch and they want Crosshair in particular. The fact that Crosshair is still alive, he's still being seemingly experimented on, is they want to figure out how to duplicate it. Because the Bad Batch seem to be good at their job. they've not only were good at their job during the war, they've been good at eluding the Empire, and the Empire is going to things that even Tarkin was just like, kind of seemingly impressed by them when he goes and inspects them in one of the first episodes. So I like the idea of bringing this full circle. And it's something to do with thing, and they have to stop that thing. The Empire, there's something, it's like the Zilla Beast armor. That's been in the air for 10 years. I'm just like, okay, this could be a thing like impenetrable armor, and Palpatine lights up when he hears about that, and then that he takes it away from him because, obviously the Empire never gets that. So, what could be that thing?
Yeah. Anytime you get the Emperor involved, all of a sudden things get very interesting.
I don't know about that guy. I just don't know about that guy. He's just a little shady.
A little shady, yeah. So
shady.
We haven't really talked about what will likely be sort of the main thrust of this season, and that is Omega and Crosshair reunited on Mount Tantus. Hunter, Wrecker. I nearly said Tech, but sadly, no more. R.I.P. Echo and maybe Rex seemingly on a mission to rescue them. I know something that admittedly was odd about season 2 was that Crosshair's storyline was really limited to a couple of episodes here and there. We didn't check in with him very much. We kind of had one at the beginning, one about 2/3 of the way through, and then he was kind of, the B plot in all of the last couple of episodes of the season. I feel like that can't happen for this season. This season feels like it's going to be very, very focused. And the question just is, can they drag out this rescue mission across 15 episodes? Or is this one of those things where like this is resolved by episode 8 and the back half of the season is something completely different that they haven't shown us at all in the trailer, and we'll blow our minds in other ways, because we'll get into like when episodes air and that sort of thing in a little bit. April 3rd is a 2-parter, episodes 10 and 11, which is just a little bit past the midway point in the season. And I kind of wonder if maybe that's going to. There's always a reason. There's always a reason when they do show more than one episode a week. And I'm just kind of wondering if that those 2 episodes might represent some sort of turning point. Because if you remember in season 2, they showed 2 episodes about halfway through the season, and those were the Coruscant episodes. Those were the episodes where
the best episodes.
Yeah, they're pretty great episodes. Not as good as Benny and the Communists, but still pretty good. But like those were the episodes where Vice Admiral Rampart went down, and like the season went from being about like protecting the clones from a political sense and became more about the dark science cloning side of things, and the villain shifted from Vice Admiral Rampart to Dr. Hemlock. So that
which was kind of insane. Like we skipped over that too much. Like they were just like, oh, we'll lock up Rampart. Like Sheev just said that. He is not mentioned like once again for the next 8 episodes of the rest of the season. It is nuts. So random. Yeah.
But I do have kind of an answer to your question here, Dominic. Because something was brought to my attention, and I wish I could take credit for this, being the whole like I spot things in trailers and stuff like that. I'm that guy. I totally failed on this. It was Alex from Star Wars Explained who pointed this out to me, and you can watch his whole video talk about this. But if you watch the opening sequence of this thing, and I almost feel bad mentioning this because it feels like a spoiler. But if you watch the opening sequence on the Juggernaut thing, and you're going through it, and you see 3 characters in the Juggernaut, and then they bounce to where Fee is flying the ship. And you see Hunter and you see Wrecker. And then the other character, I'm like, okay, well, clearly that's Echo. Echo's tagging along. He's working with them. And then you watch a little closer and you realize, no, that's Crosshair.
Is that Crosshair?
It's Hunter
It for sure
it's
is.
Wrecker and it's Crosshair. It's definitely
100%,
look.
like
Either it is Crosshair or it is someone impersonating Crosshair, wearing his armor and using his gun. There is clear shots of him. It's in there. You can watch the trailer. I didn't believe it at first either.
Do you have it on the screen, Dom?
I'm looking at it.
And you can look at the shot. There's a shot in the cockpit of the Juggernaut, and there's also a shot of them jumping across where you can kind of see him. And then later in the trailer, there's a shot of Hunter and Wrecker holding their guns, and there's a rifle. There's a sniper rifle pointing in front of the camera as if it's Crosshair. So and also and here's the thing, to your point with this of like a big turning point in the middle of the season, we have the April 3rd episode 10 and 11, Identity Crisis and Point of No Return. That could be something big happening. The next episode named Juggernaut. Maybe we're getting the Crosshair breakout episode in that, and then we have perhaps maybe Omega gets left behind. Maybe Omega volunteers to stay behind because something's happening and Crosshair gets out and they have to go back and get her maybe. Or maybe they blow up Mount Tantus halfway through the season and we get something completely different.
They're going to kill off Omega. Is that what you're saying, Ben? Is that what you're saying here?
I mean, possible. It's possible. We're talking about Filoni here sometimes. You never know.
So I've watched that sequence several times in a row as you've been talking. I'm willing to concede that that's probably Crosshair.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
But I'm not sold yet. Probably, but I'm not 100% on board. Although your point about the titles makes a lot of sense. that more than the footage has me thinking you're probably right. More than anything else, going from an episode called Identity Crisis to an episode called Juggernaut, and they're literally driving a Juggernaut. Yeah, okay, that seems like that's probably what's going on there.
I love that.
But look, there's a lot of questions around Mount Tantus. What are they testing Crosshair for? That was very fascinating towards the end of the last season. The last big reveal of season 2 was that one of the scientists, she is the adult Omega. She's grown up Omega, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. And I remember when that character first showed up and she had the New Zealand accent, thinking could this be adult Omega? Nah, it's just another Kiwi actor for the sake of having another Kiwi actor because she was the best for the part. And then it's no, actually it says future Omega. That's the story. Darn
you space New Zealanders.
Space New Zealanders. I, for some reason, do not even slightly care that character exists.
Ooh.
I just, what's the point of her? Pointless character.
It wasn't
she's
odd.
Inserted to the climax of season 2, and we're expected to go, oh, there's another one. I don't know. I just don't care. I do not care about her.
Yeah, it was an odd stinger as a way to end the season because what that means isn't explored yet. Presumably, it will be this season.
And she's been around since season 1. She showed up at the end of season 1.
She was in the trailer, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She is in the trailer. So presumably they'll make us care at some point. But as a stinger, it was
make us care.
It was a little bit odd, especially considering just those. I mean, the season 2 finale of The Bad Batch is just incredible. That is, when I think about the best Star Wars in the last 10 years, that's up there with the Siege of Mandalore, some episodes of Andor, and Rogue One. That really, those 2 episodes are just amazing. And to have that be the stinger is kind of it's kind of a whatever, because everything else in those episodes have been so good that I almost feel like they could have saved that reveal for early in season 3 after they've given us a reason to care. But we'll see. We'll see if they get there, if we get to that point. We also see Rex in the trailer talking about losing his brothers as we flash back to the tragic death of Echo. I'm fascinated to see what story we get with Rex this season, because that's a character we followed for a real long time, and there's still so much fertile ground there that I feel like wherever they're going with that character, I'm fascinated to see it. So love me some Captain Rex whenever we get the chance. And then I mean, any other big moments that sort of stand out to you guys?
Oh, I thought of something just before. I've totally forgotten it now. It'll come back to me when we're like moved on completely from the conversation.
Okay. Another thing that was pointed out to me is that apparently there is shots of Imperial troops on Pabu. So the tranquility of that planet is about to be spoiled.
Poor Shep.
They're all gonna die. You know that, right? They're all gonna die.
Oh yeah, it's tragic. I think that's where the like super duper clone is. I think that's the shot is him talking to the proto stormtroopers.
Okay, so and also real quick, I need to mention this while it's on my mind. So Junobi in the chat mentioned sequence of Omega and Crosshair walking away from a crashed ship. Okay, so there's early on in the trailer, there is a crashed one of those big shuttles, like the kind of like a Lambda class shuttle, but it's got a box underneath it. One of those crashed in like a field, and there's two characters hanging out by it. I don't know if that's Omega and Crosshair, but I know there's other shots in the trailer. One escaping a planet with TIE fighters or V-wings behind them. There's another shot of Omega flying one of those ships. I think I'm important to put some pieces together here that there might be a thrilling escape with Crosshair and Omega. Maybe Omega using those piloting skills that Tech spent all last season teaching.
So that's something that was much more prevalent in the Celebration trailer, was the Omega Crosshair relationship.
Yeah,
like in that was one of the things that sort of surprised me about this trailer, that they didn't emphasize the way they did at Celebration. Was that because in that trailer I remember there's a moment where Omega's saying to Crosshair, like, come on Crosshair, you're still my brother, like we can do this, and Crosshair kind of yells back at her, I'm not them, like I'm not Hunter, I'm not Wrecker, I'm not who you think I am, we don't have a relationship. Kind of a I'm not your real dad kind of moment. I'm not your real brother kind of moment from old Crosshair there. But it does feel like there is maybe something that like that's gonna be something that runs through the first couple of episodes, and Omega's eventually going to get through to Crosshair. She's always had a better sense of what he's thinking than I think even he has. Going back to the premiere when they're sitting in the cell on Camino, and she says to him, like, I know what you're going to do, and I know it's not your fault. So I think she's the one going to be the one to get through to him. And yeah, maybe, Hunter and Wrecker and Echo and everybody, they want to rescue those two. They want to rescue Omega. I have a feeling her and Crosshair are going to rescue themselves, which is pretty exciting.
I'm looking. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to bring up with just on the thought of Omega, that the thing I wanted to mention about the trailer is Hunter's line saying, we've left Omega like alone for far too long, or it's been too long since, like, while, which was a really interesting line, obviously very purposeful to kind of show, there's going to be a bit of time between season 2 and 3, but I just found that so interesting, and I'm interested to see how much time it really is going to seem like. Are we talking like a month, or are we talking like 6 months, or like a year? I'm really fascinated to see the type of time jump it's going to be.
I have a feeling like it'll be a while. It'll be a while until between, Omega's capture and the escape, because, like Mount Tantus is supposed to be this sort of impenetrable fortress, and maybe and we saw the Bad Batch, try and handle an impenetrable fortress at the end of last season when they went to Tarkin's place, and it didn't go well for them. They escaped by the skin of their teeth. And I feel like they might be a little bit gun shy, even though they desperately want to get in there and save Omega. It might be a situation where they sort of are biding their time a little bit, maybe trying to build up some resources and some forces to get in there and actually, rescue them properly and have a chance to escape. And in that time, who knows, maybe Omega and Crosshair figure something else out and take their chance, and it becomes less of a rescue and more of a pickup kind of situation.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see like how that goes, and like what are they doing what do they need Omega for? Obviously, I think they need, just like Grogu, weirdly, they need her blood. They need her DNA. So what's that all about? But I think Omega is gonna work on Crosshair, I think, a lot. I think Crosshair is gonna have a thing. I think he's already come a long way. He did in that one episode of season 2. But I'm really looking forward to their dynamic. Like I'm hoping like multiple episodes of those two interacting. That's what I want from this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what Ryan Carney in the chat says, Dom, are you thinking a Dagobah minute? I don't know what a Dagobah minute is.
Is a Dagobah minute different in another part of the galaxy?
Yeah, something longer. Oh, maybe it's how, like, it's seemingly on an Empire time. Luke seems to be on Dagobah for a really long time, but it's also a really short time, and it's not quite clear. Maybe that's it. Ryan, leave us another comment. Explain yourself. No.
Minute from Dagobah.
Okay, Can I express a worry that I'm having right now? I'm rewatching the trailer, and I'm coming. There's things going through my head. I have to express them. So there's a lot of shots in the trailer of that shuttle escaping, which I'm assuming is Omega and Crosshair getting away. There's also a bunch of shots, seemingly same environment, same type of setting, same type of time of day. It's like nighttime, and it's Wrecker and Hunter shooting and blowing stuff up. I'm worried that simultaneously they're going to try to break in while Crosshair and Omega are breaking out, and they're going to get themselves captured, and it's going to be right back where he started.
Oh my god, I want that so bad. I want like no forward momentum. Just
it's gonna be like Ahsoka all over again. We just swap characters. Someone is still stuck somewhere.
Yeah, just that's all Star Wars is now. It's just characters trading places for time being.
I can't deal with this.
Some other sort of quick cuts in the trailers. We see Commander Wolf showing up. Sort of we now have completed the trifecta of Rebels clone troopers with Rex and Gregor, and now Wolf will show up in there. I think we see that clone from the Ryloth episodes. I think we see him very briefly in there.
Oh, really? Mr. Perfect Hair?
Yeah.
Hauser?
Yeah, towards the end. I might be confusing him with
the flamethrower?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm glad that Powers is back.
Yeah, that's cool. And then right at the beginning, it seems like a location that if we go way back to the early Clone Wars, we might be going back to. Looks like we see Tef in there.
Yeah.
From the Clone Wars movie. And the kind of sort of Clone Wars flashback.
Sure.
Ahsoka.
Random though.
Yeah. Kind of random, but kind of interesting, kind of exciting. So yeah, lots of exciting things in the Bad Batch trailer. I'm sure we'll talk more about that in the less than a month.
I think we're done talking about this.
Onaka Cargo in the chat says that was more likely Fireball and not Hauser. I don't know. Could be.
It could be Fireball. I think I actually saw some stuff about it might be Fireball. We'll see.
I don't know. All these clones look the same to me.
Right.
I think they're clones or something.
Yeah. So we've got, and I'm very glad that they did this again for the Bad Batch. We've got the full release schedule for season 3 and all the episode titles, which
they gave us everything.
Yeah. So on February 21st, we're getting episode 1, Confined, episode 2, Paths Unknown, and episode 3, Shadows of Tantus. On February 28th, we're getting episode 4, Different Approach. March 6th is episode 5, The Return. March 13th is episode 6, Infiltration, and episode 7, Extraction. I wonder what happens in those episodes.
Interesting.
I wonder what goes down.
Maybe they're telegraphing something. They're trying to tell
Yeah.
us something, eh? Corbett, huh?
March 20th, we get episode 8, Bad Territory. March 27th, episode 9, The Harbinger. April 3rd, we get episode 10, Identity Crisis, and episode 11, Point of No Return. April 10th is episode 12, Juggernaut. April 17th, episode 13, Into the Breach. Episode 14th airs on April 24th, which is Flash Strike. And May 1st, episode 15, the finale. The cavalry has arrived.
Which is the first thing any of the Bad Batch ever say on screen in the Clone Wars. That's the line.
Watch it be like the last thing that any of them say either. It's like, and we get like a full like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid ending where it's like they run out into battle and we just freeze frame and we don't see what happens. I think that would be just record goes, the cavalry has arrived, and they run out there, guns ablazing, and then freeze frame, iris out. Executive produced by Dave Filoni. I think is the
or it could be super dark, and that's, you know, maybe it's a situation where it's like they kind of saved everyone and everyone's almost back together. They have, except for Tech Rip, Crosshair, Amiga, Hunter, Echo, Wrecker, and it's like the final episode. They all get back together as the Bad Batch, but they're in some sort of planet or situation where they are surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of stormtroopers, and they realize that this like last battle, they won't make it. There is nothing as genius and creative as they are. They can't make it. And so it's this, it's kind of like, actually, here's a good analogy. Is it Toy Story 3? And they all hold hands and they're going in the furnace? A little like that. Yeah. A little like that. But
no, don't take notes from Toy Story, please.
All right. It's super sad because they'll say, like, Wrecker will turn and say the cavalry has arrived, like one last stand.
Yeah.
And there's no other show or note that there's any of the Bad Batch after this last season. And maybe as dark as it is, that's how things end, that they fought to the last moment, and that's how it ends.
My theory is that the Bad Batch will finally get together. Everyone will be together. Crosshair, Omega, Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, they'll all be together. They're advancing on Tantus. They get up to the front gate. There's one of those clones with the mask on. He pulls the mask off, and it's Tech. And he says, "I see the cavalry has arrived."
Oh,
God. Oh, please.
I mean,
wow.
Okay, let's give this 15 seconds of thought and then never speak of it again. Tech is staying dead, right?
He's got to. He's
Please.
dead. He's gone. He's gone.
Please.
He's got it. I know
No.
no one's ever really gone. I get that, but like he's got to stay dead.
At this point, Ventress, who very clearly died, is more believable to come back than Tech is.
Yeah. And I mean, it was such an emotional sort of like climax to season 2. And I don't know. I feel like undoing it, you know, it's the ultimate cop-out answer if done well, but he's gotta stay dead.
I feel like you have to, because you've given the characters, you've given them you've put like stakes on the table. You know that people can die, that things, I don't care if you're young or old or whatever. I think it's important. I think we put too much weight on like killing a character. We like, somebody's got to die to make the thing. Like, you can have stakes without that, but I think it does raise the ire of the plot and the story of having a character lose it and having the characters reel from that and having the memory of that character kind of sit on. I think season 3 was a great place to like have these characters pick up the pieces and have his loss sit with them and not rip it off like a man. And oh, surprise, Tech's back, yay, be happy now. Like everything's fine. Like, no, these characters had major trauma. They lost one of their friends. Omega lost one of her dads. Like, this is not okay. But it's gotta be okay. You gotta move on. You can't just, because in real, this don't happen in real life. Okay. I know it's space, but let's inject some realism into this.
Yeah. He's dead. He dead. Also revealed for the Bad Batch season 3, we have this new poster of Wrecker's helmet surrounded by sparks with the words "the final season."
Excuse me, that's Hunter's helmet.
Sorry, you're right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I meant Hunter, and I just said Wrecker. The word wrong word came out of my mouth. But it's pretty sweet. It's a standard poster. I think we've seen many like it before, but that doesn't make it any less cool. I mean,
it's easy for these Star Wars posters. Throw a clone helmet, darkness, shadow, sparks, logo. You got it. Perfect.
Nailed it. Yeah, the final season.
You said nailed it at the same time. That was so fun.
Nailed.
So Bad Batch again.
I am so the Omega of this group. It's like cute, Hannah. Sure. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
We said nailed it at the same time. Well done. Go team.
Humor me, damn it.
Okay, right. Hannah. Here, let's do something really quick, Hannah. Put your hand on the floor if you can. Put your hand on the floor.
I'm not participating in this.
Yeah,
I just gave you a high five through the earth.
That is so fun. That is amazing. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that.
That was good. I gave you that one.
I've been waiting so long to do that, man.
Just waiting for the perfect moment to show up.
Perfect moment for an Earth high five. Oh, that's great. That is great.
Terrific. So Bad Batch season 3 premieres Wednesday, February 21st with the 3-part premiere, and we'll have episodes 1 or 2 episodes
away
every week until May 1st, when the cavalry will arrive for one last time. Now, May 1st, of course, is a Wednesday, and is also just a couple days before May 4th. Do you think maybe like we go from the ending of one show right into the beginning of the next one?
I feel like they're not going to start a show in right before, like in April. Like they're gonna hold off until May 4th. Like they can't miss that marketing opportunity. We got a Star Wars show coming out on May the 4th.
Might we have the Bad Batch finale on Wednesday and episode 1 of the Acolyte on Saturday? Just throwing it out there, and then episode 2 of the Acolyte the following Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, got the Ben Hart stamp of approval.
Yes, absolutely, 100% confirmed in my head.
Like, I know it's sort of the basic thing to do, to be like, oh, they should release something on May 4th. But like, that's also a really great opportunity to, people are already thinking about Star Wars, so why not, drop something cool?
I think they would drop a trailer. I think a trailer's more likely. Drop the trailer, even 2. Even drop the Acolyte trailer and the Tales of the Jedi trailer, and have
and then all our
Acolyte
heads are gonna explode. Then
2 trailers love summer in America for some reason. When's summer? When does that start? July or something?
June. At end of June.
There you go.
June 21st.
Yeah, boom. There's your Acolyte release date, and then it'll come up saying Tales of the Jedi coming October. I think a trailer is likely. 2 would be crazy, but I think 1 trailer would be likely.
Yeah. We'll see. We got a lot of time between now and then to randomly speculate about what the hell they can do on May 4th, only for them to go, hey, here's a cool mashup of all Star Wars things, and it ends with us saying, May the 4th be with you, is probably where we're actually going. We'll talk some more about Bad Batch, I'm sure, once we get to Ask the SWU, but let's quickly hit a couple of news stories. As I said off the top, we have Daisy Ridley Daisy Ridley out there talking about Star Wars again. She was interviewed by Variety about her upcoming movies and the response that they've been getting. And of course they asked about Star Wars. And they said to Variety says to Daisy, they said, "You're reprising your role as Rey in a new Star Wars movie directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. How will the franchise's first female filmmaker impact the series?" Daisy says, "The short answer is I don't know. I'm excited to do the job, but not because Sharmeen is a woman. Her documentaries are amazing. Her idea for the story is cool as shit. No spoilers, but she gave me a rundown of the entire story. If it weren't amazing, I would have been like, okay, call me in 5 years, but it's worthwhile." Then Variety asks her, "Will it be weird to make a Star Wars movie without your co-stars Adam Driver, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac?" And she says, "No, because I don't know what is what or who is who in the new movie. So much has happened for me since Rise of Skywalker. I feel like a grown-up now. When I first started, I was like 20. I was the youngest on set. It took me the first 2 Star Wars films to feel worthy of being there. Damn. Now I'm in my 30s. The whole thing feels quite different. I've been able to work with other filmmakers, and hopefully I've gotten better as a performer." Obviously, a lot of that can sort of go in the pile with all the Taika Waititi quotes about all the stuff he's working on his movie. It's great that Daisy thinks the story is cool as shit, but what else is she gonna say? She's like, "Oh, it's actually terrible. I'm just doing it for the money." She's not gonna say that, of course. I do think this question is interesting, and I kind of applaud Variety for trying to frame it this way and saying, "Will it be weird to make a Star Wars movie without Adam Driver, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac?" Like, that's a good way of trying to sort of get her to accidentally confirm that one of them is in there.
Naughty interviewer trying to get one over on Daisy Ridley.
And she handles it perfectly, because she's like, "I don't know what is what or who is who," which could just mean, hey, new characters, we don't know them yet, and there's going to be new actors. It'll be fun to meet new people. Or it could mean that 1, 2, or all 3 of them could also sign on between now and then and be part of the movie. Like, I feel like at least one of those 3, if not 2 or all 3 of them, is gonna factor into this movie in some way.
Really?
Yeah, I
am like so confident we will absolutely not see either of them.
Really?
I got no inkling that either of those would have any interest doing this again.
I think Boyega. I know he's gone. He's had some interesting and worthwhile things to say about his Star Wars experience, but I also think he could be convinced to come back with a good script, in one where he is part of it. And I think Oscar Isaac, could be convinced to do a day or 2 for a quick cameo for a lot of money. And I think that's possible. Driver's the outside. Driver's the unlikely one. That's the long shot. But Rey's relationship with Kylo Ren, Ben Solo is so pivotal to the story that we've told with her so far, that for it to not factor into this one in any way would feel a little bit odd. Now, that said, that doesn't mean he necessarily has to be in it, because his character is dead. But those experiences that Rey has had are going to inform the choices she's making in this movie, and she may find herself referencing her past with Ben Solo at one point or another, as she trains this next generation of Jedi, however she goes about that, and whoever they may be. Interesting. So we'll see. Although I'm going to say, I think we're this close to just ignoring future Daisy Ridley quotes about this movie until it's a little further along. I think that she's, like I said, she's moving ever closer to the Taika Waititi corner of, okay, it's great that you're still talking about it, but there's only so many ways you can say I can't say anything in an interesting way. John Williams. Let's talk about John Williams. He got his 54th Oscar nomination for Indiana Jones.
The most for any living person right now. He has more Oscar nominations than anyone alive right now.
Now, what are the odds he actually wins it? I put it at somewhere between 0 and 5%.
He's only won like what, like 5?
Yeah. Because
so I mean,
easy.
look,
Yeah,
it's like the statistic, like statistically speaking, like it's enough to be nominated. Like an Oscar, there's the reason they put Oscar nominee on like posters and other stuff. Like it's a big deal to get nominated, but he should easily like have earned like half of those. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But the thing about John is when you're the best, people always assume they're going to have another chance to honor you. And so they will vote for somebody else because, well, John will be nominated again next year or 2 years from now, and I'll vote for him then. And then 2 years from now when he's nominated again. Yeah. Well, 2 years from now when he's nominated again for, the Mandalorian and Grogu or whatever, and the Academy will go, yeah, John Williams, he's pretty great, but this new guy is pretty cool too, and I'll have another chance to vote for John Williams. To which I say, the man is 91 years old. Give him another Oscar, damn it! Give him another Oscar, even if it's for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Just give him another Oscar.
If anything, it's weird that he only got nominated once this year. Usually, he gets nominated like 2 or 3 times. Because
how many movies did he do this year? Did he do anything other than Indy?
I think Indy is the only one, but I swear, like last year, the year before, he got nominated a couple times because there's always there's something happening. He's not just doing Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now
did he get nominated? Did he get nominated for Kenobi?
No, because Kenobi's a TV show, and
I am not qualified to be on this podcast.
I mean, he might have got an Emmy nomination. That's what I assumed.
I was like,
I shouldn't be here.
I do think of Kenobi as a movie, basically. I think.
Oh, that's classic. That's really classic.
I was like, wait a minute. No, yeah. Would he have gotten a nomination? No, he wouldn't. That wouldn't have been possible.
Jeez. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
Now he's also getting a building named after him. That's pretty cool. He's got
That's cool. I prefer that to an Oscar.
Yeah,
I want a building.
You go to the building and be like, "This is mine. It's named after me."
That's the building.
Yeah, it's on the Sony lot in Culver City. I'll have a look at that. Congratulations, John. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, let's get to Ask the SWU. This is the part of the show where we answer your questions. They've been submitted on Discord. They've been submitted as super chats. We're going to talk about what you want us to talk about. We'll start by going right back to the Bad Batch. Get some whiplash here. Lucky Lego asks this question. Oh my God. Why do you think that Ventress has started to grow hair? What is the lore behind her hair?
I must know. What's with the hair?
Look, as a bald person, I'll just point out that some people shave their heads by choice. Not everybody is like me and can't grow hair the way that they want to anymore, and who stopped being able to do that when they were 25 and now has to shave their heads so they don't look like 30 years older than they actually are. Some people are just like, hey, a shaved head, it looks cool. And then they realize, hey, maybe I want to try something else. So they try something else and they grow it out. And I think that's what's going on with Ventress.
Like there's like a fun answer or there's like a genuine prediction answer. Like the fun answer is like she couldn't, like the hairdresser she used like died on Dathomir. She was one of the Night Sisters. The honest answer, I think it's symbolic of her character, probably shifting a bit and growing into a different person today. I think it's a bit symbolic, maybe.
I think she went to YouTube and got some Dathomiri hairstyles, hair care products or something like that. I genuinely think like if you're a witch, like. Why you just go and I've got hair now? Like that's it. Like really,
that's it. That's how it works.
I've been trying that for years. Apparently,
are you a witch?
Not a witch. I'm not a witch. I'm not that witch.
Not a witch. Damn it.
Yeah. Too bad.
Well, downside, you don't have hair. Upside, you didn't get burned to the stake.
It's true. That is true. I was worried about that.
Gotta look at the positive.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's go to the super chats. We got Joel chiming in here. Was late, so not sure if talked about this, but we thinking Palpatine doing some what I call proto Exegol shenanigans. I think we were kind of
shenanigans is my favorite word.
Yeah, we were kind of we're kind of alluding.
Yes,
to
I
that.
would like to have some cloning shenanigans.
Yes, that's exactly that's actually a direct quote from season 3.
Yeah, boom. Yeah,
that'll be in the episode Bad Territories when the Emperor will say that. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to allude to some Exegol stuff. I don't know if we'll actually have anything stated out and out or anything. I don't think we're going to go to Exegol, but I think it's going to be alluded to, especially when the Emperor is on screen. So yeah, good question, Joel. But show up on time. You would have heard us answer it.
Roasted.
Yeah, boom, roasted. Also listen to Ion Cannon to hear more from Joel. Mondays at 8:30 on this channel.
Don't backpedal now, Dom.
All right, what have we got here? Next up from the Discord, we have Hex Howl. Hello there. How is your day going with Ventress being back? How do you think she is back, or is it just a flashback? Also, who else would you like to see in the series? My suggestions are Gungi, all of the Syndulas, Boba Fett, and of course, Hondo. By the way, I feel like Boba's got to meet his sister. It would be weird if they don't meet before the Mando timeline. And what do you think about having Teth back? What will happen there? And which other planets would you like to see in the last season? Keep up the great work, guys, and have a lovely day. All right, let's answer these questions in order. Starting with, how's your day going? Pretty good. We're doing a podcast. It's always a good day when we're doing a podcast. With Ventress being back, how do you think she's back? We kind of alluded to this already. We don't know. We think she's been resurrected or cloned. One or the other seems to be where we're leaning. Unlikely to just be a flashback. Who else would you like to see in the series? So again, Hex Howl lists Gungi, all the Syndulas, Boba Fett, and Hondo. Hannah, I hear you snapping. What have you got?
Oh yeah, you did. Iconic hat wearing bounty hunter that isn't Cad Bane, but of the name of Enbo. Great character, an icon, and his dog called
Marok.
He's got Marok. Yeah, Marok.
He's the original Marok.
Yeah, there you go. I'd love to see him in this. If we're just throwing like fun bounty hunters in, let's get him in there.
Talk about Ben's connection corner right there. Gee, I did not put together. There's two Maroks.
Right.
I think I just put that together too. There,
man. Okay. Yeah, Embo, and of course, Embo being on the show would just give Hannah more options for the tattoos she's going to get next year. Of Embo.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just like a whole sleeve of just Embo's most classic moments.
The dog. Yeah.
I
am genuinely
highlights.
Seriously though, I'm genuinely shocked we haven't seen Boba yet. Considering that he has got a name drop. He does have a connection to the story. It wouldn't be like a wild card like Ventress showing up. Like it would be genuinely like, okay, yeah, Boba's here. This makes sense. He's a clone. He has a connection to the story. So I love me some Boba. So I would love some Boba Omega interactions. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Get some more into that mythology, getting the Fett clan back together, perhaps. And Omega learning more about her lineage. That'd be cool.
I agree. I think it's really weird that Boba hasn't shown up, considering he did get name dropped in the season 1 finale. We were talking about like what's Cad Bane doing in this season. If we go back to Clone Wars, Cad Bane was kind of training Boba Fett. He was kind of mentoring him, and that was supposed to be an arc later on in the Clone Wars that ultimately did not get made, and then, as we talked about earlier, wound up being a pivotal plot point in the book of Boba Fett.
And then he shows up. Weird. I think there's this point in Dark Disciple. I think Boba Fett and a bunch of hunters show up. Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. So maybe the Cad Bane Boba Fett mentorship is just, instead of ending during the Clone Wars as was the original plan, has just kind of been shifted back, and maybe Cad Bane is actually still mentoring Boba at this time, and when he gets brought into the story, he brings Boba with him, and there's an opportunity there for for Boba and Omega to meet. I don't know what Omega and Boba would necessarily talk about. I don't know what they have in common, but aside from the fact that they're both, clones of Jango Fett that age normally. But it feels like there could be something there.
It is interesting because we have that clip of Boba versus Cad Bane from those unfinished episodes, and there's all that implied mythology. I felt like that Boba may have been the one to kill Cad Bane back then. Obviously, that timeline was moved way far into the future, where he seemingly killed him. Of course, who knows at this point?
Yes. But you remember back when season 1 was on, and we were doing Pod Force 99, and we would do this show on Thursdays, and then Bad Batch would air on Fridays, and they'd premiere at midnight Pacific time. So there was this weird period of time where we had recorded the show, but we didn't know what was going to happen in Bad Batch, and then we'd record a Bad Batch podcast on the weekend. And one week I was like, I don't think Cad Bane could show up on the show because he's been killed by Boba Fett, and I think they want to tell that story in a special Clone Wars mini movie. And then literally 6 hours later, the Cad Bane episode of the Book of Boba Fett, or the Cad Bane episode of Bad Batch premiered on Disney Plus, and I looked like such a dumbass.
I forgot that happened. I forgot those were it was Cad Bane year that year.
Yeah, it's seared into my brain. I'll never forget
It's funny how when you get it right, it feels good, but it never sticks with you. When the ones you get wrong, you just never forget.
Those ones you remember. It was objectively hilarious. When I take it outside of the sort of I want to hide my own face, I'm like, that's really funny that happened.
Yeah, classic.
All right, what else? So yeah, I'm with you, Ben, on Boba and then other characters. I'm trying to think. I gotta say it, I kind of want an Ahsoka cameo.
Again, I will say shocked that she hasn't showed up. I appreciate Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett's extraordinary restraint. They have the character of Ahsoka Tano, who is seemingly kind of popular these days. Seemingly, a few people like that character. Maybe even got her own show a few times. It ultimately, they could have easily put her in here, and they've had other Jedi in here, and we're getting Ventress, so the precedent has been set. But they've avoided her. I am not expecting her. I think we will end the series without Ahsoka.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I still think it would be fun. Okay, what do we think of Teth being back? We kind of talked about that. That's kind of interesting, kind of cool, kind of neat.
I like that a lot. Seemingly bookending, not only connecting to what we just saw at Ahsoka, but going all the way back to one of the very first battles of the Clone Wars that we saw in animation. So yeah.
Any other planets we want to see in this season? Any thoughts?
Let's go back to Ryloth again. I love Ryloth. Cool. Let's go back there.
That was fun. Yeah.
See it again. What's going down?
Get Hera back in the story.
Yeah.
I saw people speculating that the Juggernaut planet, kind of rocky planet, looked similar. At least the bridges look similar to Urbana in the beginning of the Siege of Mandalore. Big bridges and stuff like that. So maybe we're going back to that planet. Maybe.
Okay.
Well, because I thought you were going to say that ridge thing on the side of the cliff face. That looks so much like the sequence of events that happened on Ryloth with that mace.
You know what? You're right. Liberty on Ryloth, the whole tank things. One of my favorite scenes in Clone Wars ever. Yeah,
it's the same sequence. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryloth. So we've settled on Ryloth.
Ryloth,
where we'd like to go back to. All right, there you go. Thank you, Hex Howell, for the question. Matthew says, I just love the novel Dark Disciple. How much do you love the novel Dark Disciple? I love it a lot. It's a very good book. I'm looking forward to reading it again.
I haven't read it.
Ben is cuddling his copy. He just gave it a kiss.
Oh, beautiful. That's adorable.
It's adorable. Well, Ben, you said earlier you've read it twice, so I think it's safe to say you love it a lot.
Yeah. Actually, I say read as in I listened to it once and I read it once.
It counts.
So, which I do that. I've done that with a couple of books, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's great to get both experiences.
Yeah, definitely counts. Another super chat from Joel. Joel says, Bad Batch is kind of a don't judge a book by its cover show. I thought it would be kind of a nothing show to if it hits the landing properly, it's the best show yet. It's really good. Like, that's the thing about Bad Batch is when it's good, it's really, really good. And I like I said earlier, the 2-part finale of season 2 is up there for me. Like, it's way up there.
If I ignored everything and just focused on the finales and the premieres of each previous season, I would say best show by far. Best show by far.
Yeah. Well, and even like the mid-season, like mid-season premiere finales,
which are kind of season, like mid-season premiere finales. We don't really have mid-season premieres finales anymore, but they kind of act as that.
Yeah, but because like that, those Coruscant episodes in season 2 are just
I could argue those are the best animated Star Wars episodes.
Yeah,
those 2 episodes, Truth and Consequence and the Clone Conspiracy.
Yeah. So really,
also, where is Chuchi? Rio Chuchi, where is she?
Yeah,
is she safe? Is she all right?
There's a character that could come back. Also, also Halle Bertoni, bring her back for another round.
My planet was destroyed with the rest of my kind. She's so funny. She's really funny in season 2.
She's really good. Really, really good. And of course, who can forget the best episode of all time? Benny and the Communists. All right, let's keep going. Hannah is giving me a death stare from the other side of the world. It's great.
I am. I hope you're feeling it. I
feel it. I'm feeling it. All right, next question.
Slap him through the world. I was wondering.
You're like, hey, put your face on the ground.
I was about to say, put your face on the ground for a second here, Ben. Oh, dumb. Yeah.
Can you feel this?
I feel like the next celebration I need to wear like body armor because Hannah's gonna have like
for sure
2
we
years
have a lot
of
of beef actually. We do. Like there's so many things you say. I'm like, if we were in the same room, I would be like crash tackling you right now.
Incredible.
Watch out.
Bring your hockey gear.
Yeah, I might have to. Next question comes from Vlad Sander. Says, did you know that the Empire started to clone neon sheep on a swamp planet? Did you guys know this?
I did not.
What kind of fever dream are you cooking up?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The rebels found a dozen crates labeled Dagobah. And Hannah's just needed to lie down after that one.
Oh. Oh.
Vlad Sander. Well done. Well done.
Oh man.
That was
wow.
That was special.
That was unexpected.
That was Dagobah. There we go. All right. Vlad goes on to say, sorry. Anywho, my question is, with the return of Ventress, will this event affect the events in Dark Disciple? Also, is it possible that this season may cause us to lose more members of the batch?
How dare you even suggest that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've already tackled the Dark Disciple question earlier in the show, but could we lose more members of the Bad Batch? Could Hunter or Wrecker or Echo or Omega or Crosshair go down? Could one of them go down or more of them?
I hate it. I really hate it, but I don't think a Crosshair death redemption is off the table.
I think Crosshair, Wrecker, and Hunter.
You think all of them are going to die?
All of them are going to die? What?
I think it'll be only Echo and Omega left.
Interesting.
Whoa, it's a bloodbath this season.
Dark.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's my prediction. Like I'm pretty set
Hannah,
on.
did you have
I'm
a
gonna see
bad
that
day today?
through.
You're having all these really dark theories. Jeez,
Been a rough
you gonna
week,
kill
man.
everybody.
I don't think we're gonna lose any more members of the Bad Batch. I think we might gain another member or gain a member back with Crosshair. But I think the rest of them are safe. To be perfectly honest. The death of Tech was so impactful because it was a surprise. It came out of nowhere. He was the first one to go. When you make killing characters off just part of your MO, you hit a point of diminishing returns. And I would think we should call up David Benioff and DB Weiss and ask them about that and what they experienced with Game of Thrones, where they kept killing off characters and it stopped being so impactful. And so I think Tech's death as the only one makes it really, really impactful. So I think the other ones living preserves the sort of uniqueness and the impact of Tech's death. And I really hope that Crosshair doesn't die. I really hope he doesn't. I hope he gets a proper redemption where he's allowed to atone and make amends for the errors of his ways. I think that's something that Star Wars hasn't done before, and it'd be really nice to see them go in that direction for a change.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'd like to see. So a good question, Vlad Sander, and again, excellent joke. Another one from Matthew says, promise you'll only ask this if Hannah is on tonight. So Hannah, this one's for you. Big 3 points for the Mariners this weekend. We've slipped in the table a bit, but how good of a shot do we have to defend the title?
You legit ask me a soccer question right now?
I guess.
You know what? We'll finish. I don't think we'll get the premiership, but we'll finish in the top 4 for sure. That's my prediction.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All I know is that the Leafs picked up a big 2 points last night, and then Ilya Samsonov looks to be back. All right. Let's Ben, do you have any sports takes you want to throw in here? You want to have
sports?
Have the Savannah Shuckers done anything recently that you want to?
What the hell did you just say?
What's that team called? The AAA baseball team?
The Biloxi Shuckers. BS. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. We were gonna get Ben to do a baseball podcast about this team out of Biloxi, Mississippi, called Shuckheads AAA Talk with No BS. And
wow.
Look, if I only could find the time.
All right. Next up we have Dr. Hugh, who says good soldiers follow orders. It's not really a question, but
has somebody checked Hugh's inhibitor chip?
someone check it real quick. Kajira says, are y'all's down for a Winter Soldier style tech for this season?
We are of the same mind.
Yep. Yeah.
I just what maybe it just comes down to it's Omega going like, Tech? Who the hell is Tech?
What would his like evil name be?
Tectonic.
Techno.
Tech, no.
Tech, no. No, like he's a dog. Like no tech. Tech no. Yeah, I don't know. I want Tech to stay dead, as devastating as that
Evil Techneval. Evil Techneval.
Evil Techneval.
There you go.
Don't mess with Techness. No. Anyways,
Techno Union.
Techno. There we go. We've come up with it. There you go. That answered the question.
Sorted.
Plagueis, Plagueis 66. Lou 66 has some questions for us here. What do you call an overpowered janitorial stormtrooper in the Death Star?
I give up.
What?
A super duper pooper trooper.
Super duper pooper trooper.
How dare you?
Oh, damn.
That's so bad. But I love it.
Super duper pooper
Okay.
trooper. That's really fun to say.
Yeah, super duper pooper trooper.
Poop trooper.
That's actually that's Tech's Winter Soldier name. It's
Yeah,
Super Duper
that's his
Pooper
name. That's
Trooper.
Tech's name.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, that's
And final question: why should you never drink the blue milk from the Mos Eisley Cantina?
because it's off.
I mean, you're on the right track. It'll give you the Kessel runs for 12 parsecs.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like
These
that one.
look, these are some really crappy jokes. I gotta tell you.
All right, good stuff.
This
Good.
podcast is going in the toilet. We better wrap it up.
I think you're right, Ben. I think you're right. I don't know where we go from there, but well, there's really only one thing to do, and that is to begin to wrap things up for this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will be back next week to continue talking about the Bad Batch and whatever else is in the news. So do be sure to tune in 7 days' time. I say we. I won't be. I'll be off next week because next weekend is the NHL All-Star Game, and for the 3 days leading up to it, including Saturday, I'm just going to be in like a complete hockey world, just doing hockey things. So I will be missing the show most likely, unless something amazing happens, in which case I'll come back. But hopefully Chris will be back and we'll balance things out and have some great discussions. And of course, Bad Batch discussions will kick off the week of February 21st when that 3-part premiere happens. Ben, thank you as always for being on this week.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure as always. Love the trailer breakdowns. Always great. And knowing that it's less than a month away, 26 days away from the premiere. 3 episodes. We're going to have a lot to talk about that first week. A whole lot. And it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And for this week, I will definitely be here next week. But this week, I will tell you to go check out my other podcast, IPC. We have another great episode coming up very soon. We're talking about the top 5 most anticipated films of 2024. And unlike another year that shall not be named, maybe all the movies that we talked about will actually come out in that year. So that'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, so look for that in your feeds later this weekend.
Have you not done a top 5 most anticipated movies since 2020? Is that what you're saying?
No, we've done it. We've done it every year, including 2020, when there was no freaking movies.
So
all the movies we talked about came out in like 2021 and 2022.
So what you're saying is it was your fault.
Look, I'm trying to keep it under the rug here, okay? Trying to really keep that down low. Don't say it too loud, okay? Because a lot of people could be mad at us.
Okay.
IPC caused the pandemic, but I mean, just ignore that. I didn't say that.
I wasn't saying he caused the pandemic. Just the movies did not come out. Come on now.
Yeah, I totally didn't say that. No.
All right, check out the Intergalactic Peace Coalition podcast for great discussion, like the top 5 movies you're anticipating in 2024. Hannah, thank you as always for being on.
Thank you so much. Great time. And tune in less than 24 hours to a brand new podcast that's on the Raeside. Really, really fun conversation with my first guest. Little spoiler. There's the 2-episode premiere. One's with a guest. One is my pilot episode. It's just me talking about my Star Wars journey. And
That's enough, though. It's enough.
Thank you. You're so validating today, Ben. Just talking about my journey, how I got here, and why I'm doing the podcast. So those 2 are dropping very soon. But yes, another great show as always.
Nice. Yes, make sure you check out the premiere of the Star Wars Radio Hour on the Raeside. Again, Ray spelled R-A-E. I don't have anything else to plug this week. I didn't do anything else this week, so well, got nothing. So you guys did cool things. I was just over here, just doing life. So got nothing to plug. Maybe next week. I guess I won't be here next week. Maybe 2 weeks from now, I'll have something to plug. So in the meantime, I'll plug other things like the Star Wars Underworld Network and all of our great shows, like the Raeside, Ion Cannon, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, the Tractor Beam, and so much more. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Star Wars Underworld on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. That way you never miss an episode. And if you want to support us financially, you can become a channel member here on YouTube. I don't know what you get. It's just sort of like a tip jar. We appreciate it. We thank you all. And of course, join the Star Wars Underworld Network Discord to watch all the episodes of Young Jedi Adventures with Ben constantly, forever and ever. That's the only thing that's going to happen.
Look, we're taking a break next week, okay? We're doing a game night. You can go to the Discord and you can vote for which game you want us to play.
Is there
Currently, Fall Guys is winning. You can change that.
Is there a Young Jedi Adventures game yet? Is there like some?
I don't know why there is. Actually, I talked about this exact thing. They're on the Discord thing. I'm like, there's a good mobile game in here. Why isn't there a thing?
There you go. Come on, somebody's got to get on that. And of course, follow us on social media. We're at the SWU, but specifically follow us on Threads. That's the most important. That's
only
Ben's
follow
favorite.
us on Threads and
That's
unfollow us everywhere else.
Threads.
That's where he wants you. We're not letting it die. You're welcome, Mark. Yay. And of course, you can follow all of us personally. I'm at Dominic J25. Ben is at Ben Hart with no E. Hannah is at the Raeside, and Chris is at Seek3PO. All right, that is it for this week. We will see you next week. Until then, for Ben, for Hannah, for Chris, for all the wonderful people at the Star Wars Underworld, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.